So, into the Peugeot 308 GTI. Obviously, with it being a Peugeot hot hatch, you've got this almost laughably small wheel, but I do actually rather like it. Now, some people, it's not to everyone's tastes. You have to bear with me. I'm trying to find the thing for the, there we go. It's not to everyone's tastes, but I do rather like it. Although, for my driving position, I can't quite see the dial, so I think I will just bring it up a little bit. There we go, that's a bit more like it. So, start, stop. Now, one thing, I do like the 308 GTI, I've driven one before, but I just wish it made a little bit more noise. I want a little bit more drama when you turn it on. You can barely hear it. So I will say that the 308 GTI is a hot hatch that's easier to live with day to day. It's a very comfortable car, well, for a hot hatch anyway. The steering is nice and light when you're manoeuvring, like I am now. Just try not to hit that Fiesta. Oh, but it is still a little bit bumpy, of course, because it does, of course, have sports suspension. The gear change is quite nice. It feels a little bit light, actually. Mind you, when I drove the 208 GTI a while back, I didn't film that, but when I drove it, I found all the controls to be a bit too light, and it was a quick car, don't get me wrong, but it just didn't feel edgy. It felt like your nan could easily get in it and have a hoon. And the same can be said for a 308 GTI. Now, it does mean that it is an easy car to drive, and I've got no problem with that. But I haven't even got out on the road yet, and just lacking that sort of edge. But it is fast. Not the fastest hot hatch money can buy, but it certainly isn't a slouch. So let me talk you through the engine. So it's 1.6 litre turbocharged petrol, which has 272 horsepower with 330 newton meters of torque. It's mated to a 6-speed manual gearbox, and it will hit 62 miles per hour in 6 seconds, and the top speed is 155 miles per hour. So, like I say, it's not the fastest hot hatch, but it's not the slowest either. But how does it handle? So far, it handles pretty well. Not the flattest of cornering, but still not bad. The gear change is very pleasurable. Throws are a tad long, but still relatively slick. And what I like about the 308 GTI is that it does pick up pace effortlessly. It doesn't make a song and dance out of it, which is a tad disappointing, but you can't deny it's capable. Some may want some more excitement, but if you want a hot hatch that's easy to live with day to day, but is pretty quick, then the 308 GTI is definitely worth looking at. I have to say, I do really like the interior. It's very minimalistic, so all you have is this big infotainment system with touchscreen, which is laid out very nicely. You've got the touch sensitive buttons, which are nice, but it may be a little bit awkward to use when you're on the move, particularly the music icon. That feels like quite a stretch for me to get to, but those are little things. As you may be able to hear, there's a fair bit of road noise, but in a car like this, that's to be expected. But just driving down here, it is pretty comfortable. The ride is busy, of course, because it is a hot hatchback, but it is pretty compliant. And the handling is still good. In terms of grip, it's not the grippiest hot hatch money can buy, but it should be enough to get you by and to keep you out the hedges, of course. One thing this car does have, of course, is a sport mode. So pop it in sport. Like, oh, all the dials turn red. Oh, I like that. And it gives me new gauges. So I've got a power bar, a boost bar, and a torque bar, which I can't see the torque bar because of the steering wheels. Yes. Oh, I like that display. I like that a lot. And of course, the suspension's got firmer. Can't quite feel a difference in weight in the steering just yet, but I do imagine that it would have got heavier, of course. Ooh. Yeah, the ride is definitely more lumpier in sport mode, but that kind of goes without saying, doesn't it? Let's get past the cyclist. Oh, that's more like it. That's the noise I was looking for. Hello. Where have you been? Oh, sounds like it's growling. Oh, I like that. Yes, definitely keeping it in sport mode. So earlier I was complaining that the car was too quiet, it didn't really sound particularly exciting, but now that I've popped it in for sport mode, that is pretty tasty. Now I will be honest, I don't know whether some of that noise is being fed into the cabin using one of those sound imposers. It doesn't sound like it. It sounds real to me. If it is fake, then Peugeot has done a good job of trying to make it sound real. In sport mode, the steering has got a lovely weight to it. It's nice and direct. Yes. This is pretty good. Oh, and that power once more. I'll tell you what, when you put it in sport mode, the power delivery is really nice. It's linear. It's nice and smooth. It's fast, but it's not jerky. It's not one massive surge. It comes in quite gradually. It's fast, but it's also smooth. Brakes are pretty good, as you would expect. You've got big discs at the front with quad piston calipers for better stopping power. There's a fair amount of feedback through the pedal, but not quite as much as I would have been expecting. But if you don't want to drive about like a lunatic, you can of course take it out sport mode and just dawdle along. Oh, there we go, and the dials go back to normal. Dynamic mode deactivated, and everything kind of settles down again, and the car becomes a bit more grown up. And this car does grown up quite well. When you want to dawdle about, it will do so quite easily. So it's not a car like the Focus RS. I don't know what it's waiting for. So it's not a car like the Focus RS where you're constantly being reminded that you're in a hot hatchback, even in its most compliant mode. Well, I say compliant, even in its most docile mode, the suspension is still very. Whereas in this, when it's not in sport mode, you could almost be fooled into thinking you're driving a normal Peugeot 308. So if you're looking for a hot hatch that's usable day to day, then this is definitely worth looking at. Now, of course, the Golf GTI is the daddy of being an all-rounder hot hatch, and it's really difficult it's really difficult to choose between this and the Golf. Both of them are very nice to look at, although one would argue that the Golf GTI is a little bit more subtle, although this doesn't exactly shout at you, even with this black and blue paintwork, which is very nice, by the way. They're both quite nice to sit in. In terms of quality, lots of things in here feel quite nice. Okay, there are some hard scratchy plastic, so down here and down here, but the dashboard, it's nice soft touch. I really do like the way how everything's laid out. It's very simple, but yet it's effective. Well, apart from when you want to change something, that's a bit, yeah, I've already covered that, but I think I'd still rather have the Golf GTI because for me, that is the daddy of all-round hot hatches. However, the 308 GTI does have an ace up its sleeve. It has more power than its German counterpart, and that even includes the Golf GTI Performance pack, which offers 245 PS. That means that the French GTI will hit 62 miles per hour, 0.2 of a second quicker. I know it's not much, but it all counts. But both cars have got the same limited top speed of 155 miles per hour. But the Golf does give better flexibility. You can either have that in a 3-door or 5-door, or you can have a 6-speed manual gearbox or a 7-speed DSG. But just to make life even harder, the 308 GTI is around £3,000 cheaper than the equivalent Golf GTI. So it's a tricky one, but like I said a few moments ago, I still think I would side with the German GTI on this one. I haven't really mentioned them, but these sports seats are really nice. I know I touched upon them earlier. It does hug you in all the right places. They really are fantastic seats, and they feel very premium. Sometimes you get a hot hatch and it's got nice sports seats, but the actual quality of the material isn't quite there. No such problem in the 308 GTI because it all feels very plush, feels nice. It's a very nice place in which to sit and just make some speed. Now, this car has got plenty of competitors. So you've got cars such as the Golf GTI, the Focus ST, the new Renault Megane when that comes out. And as good as a car this is, it is not quite there with its competitors, in all honesty. It's fast, it's comfortable, it's a nice place to be, it's stylish, but yet it's missing that spark. Yes, it is a fast hatchback, and you can really drive it as if your hair's on fire, but I think this is a hot hatchback that's better to use day to day rather than a track day. This car is fast, but I can't really imagine taking it on a track day. Not because it can't do it, but just because you get a sense that it probably wouldn't want to. Okay, maybe that's a little bit harsh. After all, the GTI does come with a Torsen limited slip diff, and it also has ventilated front brake discs, but you get a sense that it's too refined and stylish for track work. You just get a sense that the car would find it a bit vulgar and a bit uncouth. And there we have it. Once again, I am back at base. So, time for me to sum up. The Peugeot 308 GTI. Now, it's not the hottest hatch money can buy, although it still does have quite a lot of punch to it, but this is definitely a hot hatchback you could live with day to day. It's comfortable when you want it to be, but when the mood takes you, you really can drive this like an absolute lunatic. It's very nice inside, very minimalistic, as I've said earlier. And there are definitely lots of things to like about this car, but it's not the hot hatch I would buy. And there's nothing particularly wrong with this car, although I would want a shorter gear change if I'm going to be picky. Compared to other hot hatches, there's nothing really about this car that jumps out at me, although I will say the inside is quite nice, and when you put it in sport mode, that noise is pretty pleasant. Anyway, I will wrap things up there. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, give it a massive thumbs up and please subscribe for more car obsession.